We're back with season 9, episode 13. This is the episode Between Dark and Dawn. The episode in which Luna and Celestia take a rather well-needed vacation. I don't know if you ever heard of that concept. I think I've heard of this before. I don't know. I've heard rumors about this kind of thing. One moment. I'm missing a document for some reason. It's been an interesting morning. Sorry, I've been doing a whole lot of stuff this morning. But anyways, this is actually kind of a fun one, which is doubly amusing because it felt like they were really stretching out with their animations on the faces, particular. Like, it felt like, to use the animation terms, it felt like they were trying out the rigging, or rather new rigging, when it came to... Hello? The sisters. One moment. Like, I don't think they've ever actually gave them the new rigging that gives them the more expansive expressions, so they were like, hey, yep, nope, I'm actually right. This is a brand new writer. This is Gail Simone, who's never done an episode before. That's kind of surprising, actually. My voice sounds weird right now. My throat's still kind of going at the moment. Yeah, I know, right, Ross? Their voices are just kind of... I was going to say, I actually did a little looking into Gail Simone, and she's apparently a comic book writer. But she did a good job with this one. And yeah, she made Birds of Prey. I did know that one. Well, she's one of the people who made Birds of Prey. Because it's always a group. So, episode proper starts up. Great cold open. Excellent animation. Excellent blocking. Fantastic, stuff. Just some really cool stuff. And of course, the sisters show up and kill Steel. Teleport Steel. Yeah, no. I don't have much to say except for just praise. Just positives everywhere for the cold open. There's a lot of really good stuff there. And then the sisters show up because obviously they don't want to simply work. They want to do. Yeah, I can feel that. So they start, they cut to the thing where Fluttershy's like, oh no, there's a hole in the bridge. We should fix it. And then the sisters show up and replace the entire bridge. I'd make fun, but that sounds so much like Celestia's management style, doesn't it? Like her overall leadership approach. Think about it for a moment. And yeah, of course, the sisters are never there when they actually need them, and now they're bored, so... Naturally, thanks to the law of escalation, what happens immediately after this is they get worse and worse and worse. Okay, fixing a bridge, sure. Okay, helping the kids find their way, Rainbow could have done that just fine. Rainbow can fly. And in fact, I'm pretty sure what was about to happen was Rainbow was going to head up, see they're over there, come back down and lead them over there, because that's kind of the point. But it's okay, they're running out of muffins or cupcakes, so it's time to bake, sister! And they do the Predator thing. And Pinky's just like, okay. Yeah. Pinky looked annoyed, and really, what do I need to add to that? So, we cut to them actually doing a strategy meeting on how to deal with the sisters, because it's like, oh my god, this is just, what are we going to do about this? Now, the sisters then show up. Excellent! There's a tactics meeting. What's the great and terrible and dangerous threat? We're ready. We're ready for it. Yeah, about that. Could you piss off? No, actually, I do want to mention that, of course, and I'm going to give Miss Simone here some credit. Of course, it is Pinky who actually comes up with an organized way to say, here, if you want a vacation, do it this way. Right? Like, that absolutely tracks. But then Celestia says something that hits so hard and so personally, I had to pause the episode for just a second. It's harder to justify a vacation when it's not an emergency we're responding to. Some of you know that I schedule my time extremely precisely, and a lot of the times when I have time to do something, it's really hard to justify doing something that doesn't have some kind of purpose to it, because everything has to be accounted for, right? And I just was looking at that like, yeah. But it's okay, because they've decided to go ahead and just take the vacation and let Twilight and team take over the managerial duties for a time being. After all, they need to be starting doing that anyways. Point to continuity. By the way, I thought about giving continuity counters to this episode, and then I realized that that would be insane. There's a montage in a minute where they have a song playing, which are a lot of little things. The number of continuity cavalcades happening there was so frequent, so fast and furious, that in many cases it was literally multiple times per second that there was a continuity counter going off. So, yeah, this is an arc episode. That's why we came up with that new concept. To really just kind of... Yeah, no. Not surprising that the last season has several arc episodes. That tends to be true in general. But rewinding just a moment. Naturally, both of them have different ideas. Yeah, I noticed the cat dude was there. Naturally, both of them have different ideas on how to relax. Yep, nope, that tracks. It also is... It's kind of nice to see them both trying. I know this is a minor point, but I do think it's a substantial one. It would be much easier for them to just be both unkind. I don't know how else better to say that. And just kind of nipping at each other. And instead it's more like, well, I don't really want to do that, but yeah, I'll do it for you, sister. And there's an effort and a work put into making sure that the two are actually bothering to try. It is a slow descent rather than an immediate conflict ball. There we go. God, I'm tired. Sorry. So that's cool. I do love seeing them with their ponytails and their tails bobbed up. And they empower an artifact with the specific enchantment to raise the sun and moon. Forgive me for thinking about this for just a second, but I was thinking about this for just a second. Now, the way they say it is that they put their power into the artifact. That's interesting. Because what that means, we know that there is a raw power requirement to raise the sun and the moon. We know this because it's part of the lore and has been addressed multiple times, that unicorns would have to permanently drain their magic in order to raise the sun and the moon back in the day. So there's a battery requirement, right? There's an X requirement for them to be able to raise the sun and the moon. So the princesses just have that kind of power and have that kind of oomph. To be able to imbue that into an object actually tracks with how artifacts are shown to be in this series in general. That artifacts can also, enchanted artifacts specifically, can serve as batteries for specific amounts and types of magical power. We've actually already seen that in this very season with the Bell of Grogar. But my reason for bringing this up is this also showcases that this is a possibility that they arguably could have done before if they actually really wanted to. They would just need another magical pony, a unicorn, that they trusted sufficient in order to do this particular task with. I do actually like, even though it is being done for laughs, that at the end of the episode, the very last scene, Twilight is having trouble actually using it properly, which makes sense. Let me try to explain this a little bit. I want you to do me a favor and just reach out and pick something up really quick. Okay? Okay? Now, in your mind, you're probably not thinking about what you're doing. Instead, the only thought is a single line. Pick up object. But one of the reasons that it takes us so long, in some cases in the years range, in order to, at the very least in the months range, to learn the whole process of being able to pick something up when we are a baby, is because what's actually happening is tons of different operations and movements, all of which have to happen at the same time. It's the kind of stuff we don't think about because we're so used to it. Because we've done it so much. And you already see where I'm going with this. I've always liked the idea that magical type stuff in fiction works the same way. If you do a spell to do this, then it's normal for you. You've been doing it for years and you know exactly how to do it. If you have never actually had an arm to pick something up before, and someone grafts a cybernetic arm onto you or a magical arm onto you, and you're like, okay, pick up thing, you're going to be trying to figure out how to move all the different... Why is this on here? You're going to be trying to figure out That shouldn't be there either. Neither should that. Oh my gosh. Hang on. Sorry, I haven't actually filtered this playlist fully yet. Let's just do this. There. Then yeah. So you're just gonna be like, okay, hang on. So this muscle group moves it this way, but actually not completely because there's actually two muscle groups. And then you got to do this, and okay, hang on. And then if you manage to get the hand towards the thing, it's like, okay, now you got to figure out gripping. And keep in mind, each one of these is a separate, independent thing that you have to. You get my point, right? I think you understand the concept here. And so I do love the idea of this being a whole thing that you have to learn. In fact, as a quick reminder, Twilight actually had trouble the last time she did that, and that time she didn't have an artifact that had part of the power, she just had all the frickety power. So, that's cool that they show that. It's done for a womp-womp, but I do still enjoy it. Moving on. It also makes me wonder if this is going to do this, this is how they're going to do this long term. Hi, Juju's. Okay, so, looking at my notes here. So they have a celebration of the swans at the Royal Lake. Now, I swear to God, the first thing I wrote while I was writing that was, why? Seconds later, Rainbow says, why? And I'm completely with Rainbow on this one. For those of you not aware, swans are dicks. They are a mean and aggressive species in real life. I'm actually kind of happy they maintained that in the thing, because, yeah, there's... Well... because swans are dicks, right? Apparently this is a British thing, which I'm admittedly not aware of. I've never heard of that. That's, Why? Okay, so I get it. They needed something ridiculous to do, and I'm not going to argue it. Oh, God damn it. I changed everything else, and I forgot to change that. Thank you, Valvedrix. So they do this stupid swan, or they're going to do the stupid swan ceremony, but swans suck. And then this is when they actually have the song and the continuity cavalcade. Celestia apparently really likes stuffed animals. Go figure. One of the tiny little details, which I really like about this, is they bothered to actually show the little, almost everywhere they go, the people are like, oh my God, it's the princesses, and they're just, oh my God, and, you know, getting the selfie, or gushing about it and all that. That was all just kind of cool to acknowledge that, because that is very logical. There's a lot of good, what I call consistent and consequent storytelling in this one. It is surprisingly tight of a script. Go figure. So we sketch forward a little bit, and they bothered to show that both of them are into their own things, and, well, we're going to cut to the B plot very quickly. There's a bit where Twilight says, you know, the royal committee shows up and says, hey! And Twilight ushers them away and says, if we ask for help, it's like admitting we aren't as good at the job as the princesses are. So, A, no, that's stupid. One of the most critical and valuable tools a leader can have is delegating, I can talk. And B, far more importantly, if you actually think about it for about 5 seconds, and I do mean just 5 seconds, if there's already a committee to handle this stupid event, then the princesses already were delegating. So, no. And yeah, Fancy Pants was a little bit weird in this one. So yeah, the B-plot is weak, to be completely honest. I'm not a big fan of it. But we'll come back to that in a minute. Meanwhile, Luna fangirls at the post office. I'll admit I was just grinning that whole scene. I like enthusiasm, you know me. I like seeing people enjoy things. And so, the way that she was just gushing about the whole process of the post office and buying one stamp in order to send a postcard to her sister who's standing 3 feet from her. I didn't give you a postcard. The post office gave... I'm sorry, I absolutely love that. Speaking as someone who absolutely gushes about proper spreadsheet design, yes, really, you can go ahead and call me a geek all you want, because remember, all a geek actually means is an enthusiast. We all have our different things we're enthusiastic about. And as long as it's legit, yeah, I'm with it. Celestia, of course, is just like, ugh, whatever. But that also makes perfect sense, other than the fact that Celestia is obviously an adrenaline junkie, which is very obvious in this episode, and has been shown in previous episodes too, if you're paying attention. Remember the episode where she specifically invited Discord just to make things different? Please keep in mind what Celestia does as her day job. She's already used to dealing with things like the post office. She has to go to events like the operas all the time. She has to smile and nod and do all these simple, mundane, boring things on a daily basis. By contrast, what does Luna do as her day job? She deals with the fantastical. She manages the realm of dreams. So she's dealing with the big, on a regular basis. It makes perfect sense that when both want a vacation from their day jobs, they would effectively want each other's jobs. Just, you know, not actually as work, just as a way of relaxing. So yeah, both of them have the been there, done that with regards to the other. And so both of them are just... all of this is perfectly logical. Still some good consequence storytelling. Still some good writing. It was a very well-written episode, by the way. So then we see a couple of other things. We see Punk Celestia. We see they start to oscillate further and further away from each other. This is actually a true thing in real life. You ever plan a vacation for a group of people? I actually wouldn't be surprised if most of you have not done that. Not a dig or anything. It's just I imagine most people haven't actually had to do that in their lives. I've had to do that several times for several different groups of people. And let me tell you, one of the more irritating things is trying to make it so that everyone's happy. When I was a little bit older, and we were going to Disneyland one particular year, the solution I came up with was, all right, we're here. You go to this, you go to this, here's your tickets, here's your tickets, here's your tickets. Go do the things you want to. We're meeting back up at noon here. Because sometimes the problem is you're just going to get a little bit resentful doing the things you don't want to do. And if you oscillate like the two sisters actually do, that resentment grows, which is exactly what we see happen. This is something I've literally seen happen in real life, so I'm completely with it. You just get more and more irritable because what's happening is you're experiencing something you enjoy and then something you don't back to back. It's making the relative experience more stark in contrast, right? So the goods are better and the bads are worse, right? So it makes perfect sense that as you keep doing that, if you just kind of keep going back and forth, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse as you're going, right? This naturally leads to the song. I need to judge that song. It's a decent song, but I'd probably put it towards the third category of songs. There's like the upper tier, the middle tier, and the lower tier. So I'll probably put it in the lower tier somewhere. Maybe here. We'll put it right here. See, I'm easy. I'm happy as long as other people are happy, and I enjoy everything. Except anime. So, you know, I'm whatever. When we used to do those kind of things, I would usually schedule myself to go with the person who didn't have someone to go with. Because one of the things that tends to be a common human trait is that we enjoy enthusiasm shared. Which is why we like to talk about things like Star Trek or My Little Pony or Final Fantasy XIV with someone else who also enjoys that thing. So, anyways, and like I said, I'm the wild card when it comes to those. I enjoy almost everything, so schedule myself wherever I'm needed. And yeah, Raskor is correct. The two want to do this together. The problem is their approach. So let's scooch a little bit forwards here. The main six continue to get further behind and get worse. Okay, and that's the B plot. Moving on. We had just had an episode not that long ago where Starlight and Trixie had a big argument, and they got mad at each other and said things they didn't really mean and realized they actually wanted to be with each other, but then finally they're going to go ahead and be together because message, right? If you remember, I didn't like that episode as much as I wanted to because the actual construction of the argument, the build-up, the moment, and the payoff of that argument were not really all that good. Remember that? This does the exact opposite and actually does the whole moment pretty much perfectly. The build-up is great, and makes perfect sense. It is perfectly logical. And yeah, there's a great degree of a gradual build up to this moment. It is actually shown very consistently and very, very escalating until finally they're both sitting there and they're both aggravated and they're both irritable and they're both tired. And what happens when you're like that? You say something you don't mean. And unlike the previous episode where Starlight was just completely stupid, I'm sorry, but had absolutely no understanding or self-awareness, even though she absolutely should have, and it was arguably out of character. In this, both Celestia and Luna are very clearly saying things they don't really mean, and understand how much this is bothering both of them. They actually use the Can-A-Lot voice. Celestia actually does overbear too much. Luna is resentful of all the things that she does have baggage for there. Both of them say things they don't mean, and I keep emphasizing that point because that's not just, you know, a presumption. The voice actresses carry this scene. It's very obvious that both of them are on the verge of breaking down into tears. That they are not angry. Not really. What actually is happening is that both of them are hurt. This is something that's very critical that a lot of people tend to forget. Anger is a real emotion, of course, but what you're seeing here in this argument is not anger. That's not two angry people who are yelling at each other because they're angry. This is two frustrated people who are yelling at each other because they're hurt. And there is a key distinction there. Yeah, you wish you... I bet you wish I was still gone, so you could still rule the day and the night. Ouch! You think I like that type of pressure? You think I like being responsible for every little thing and you? What I want is a sister I can rely on. Ouch. Yeah, that's just, ooh. And again, the voices, the voice work, the animation. Did you notice, I'm sure you did, you notice how their outfits actually get more and more unraveled as they're yelling at each other? As they look more and more like the princesses, rather than the sisters. Wonderful visual storytelling. That scene alone, this is a multiple positive scene, in my own terminology. It is incredibly well constructed, and it hits exactly where it should. This is everything the Starlight and Trixie scene should have been, to continue to parallel to that previous episode. Damn. So they're both just kind of about this, and then for some reason we cut back to the B-plot for a minute. Now, the only thing that kind of irritates me about the B-plot is the fact that it is so completely vacuous. It's doubly vacuous because I'm pretty sure they've learned this exact lesson before. This is what... There's actually a line to lie that says, this is how you rule Equestria. Yes, by ruling it. That's what rulership means. Giving orders. Delegating is part of the job. You know this, Twilight. Right? Like, this is... I was gonna say, this goes back a while if you really want to go into it. And the B-plot is so weak that it is absolutely going to be dragging this episode's score down. Because it's just, it's so completely vacuous and unnecessary. And yeah, and there's this trash strike and what? Okay, that's cool. You can deal with this. Like, why are they striking? I might have missed it. I didn't think they ever said about why they were striking. That feels like that's an issue that should be resolved, because if the employees are refusing to work, which is what a strike is, then it's usually for a reason, not just because they don't feel like going to their jobs that day. So, huh? Like, there's so much they could have done with that. I know I tend to be boring and mundane, and I actually do enjoy things like the post office and the actual structure of statecraft, which is something I am a legitimate geek about. But they just kind of say, yeah, there's a trash strike for some reason. And also, you need to learn to delegate. This is like me saying, hey, everyone, in order to play Final Fantasy XIV, you need access to the internet. And I do a whole B-plot about that point. I will agree, if the B-plot took up more time, it would be worse. It is basically just a quick... Like, in some cases, it's like 30 seconds per scene, and then it goes back to the A-plot. But it does drag down the episode. as I've said so many times, yeah, it's filler. There's a difference between good filler and bad filler. This is bad filler. And yeah, their big way of dealing with it is bringing back the tortoise instead of dealing with the strike. This is such a shame, because the A-plot is basically perfect. What happens thereafter, I agree with that, Ross. You can see why I keep mentioning the B-plot, because it does drag it down. But we get to back to the A-plot, and what do we see? Luna finally gets to relax, but she enjoys the company of her sister. Obviously. Let me ask you something real quick. How many of you enjoy just being in the presence of someone? You don't have to be interacting. You don't have to be talking. You don't have to be playing or doing whatever. You just like that person being there. Now, I don't know if all of you understand that, but I imagine at least several of you understand that concept. Sometimes it's nice to just have the company, even if they're just there. And it's very clear that that's exactly what's going through Luna's mind at this moment. That even though what she wants to do is rest, she wants to rest with her sister. Cut to Celestia, who is just gushing, extrovert, talking about how awesome this is and how she wants to share the enthusiasm. We talked about that earlier. That when we geek out about things, when we like something, we like to share that with someone we care about or someone who is a fellow enthusiast. And so she's trying to gush about it with Random Pony. Can't do it. Random Pony literally can't hear her. But more to the point, it's just, well, okay, I have no one to share this with. Huh. And then it gets worse because Luna had never heard of sunscreen before, which, honestly, I can kind of believe that. If I wanted to be really persnickety, I would say, I put on sunscreen and have like this one spot on like her forehead, which is fine. And then, you know, the doctor's like, you need to put it everywhere, you know. Like, so she's heard of the concept, but obviously she isn't familiar with it enough. But that's an extremely minor nitpick. Tiny little nitpick. Otherwise, it does make perfect sense that she wouldn't know how sunblock works, right? So that's fine. And then we cut to Celestia, who is lost, which actually kind of tracks with her personality overall. But more to the point, she is terrified of chickens. I'd make fun of this, but we know Twilight is terrified of quesadillas, so whatever. And then they make up. But what I like about this is they get back together, and they both are going to the same spot because for different reasons. One wants the hike and one wants the view. But you notice that what they actually bond over is just the fact that they love each other, that they enjoy each other's company. And there's something wonderfully simple and wholesome about that, isn't there? Like, what I'm trying to say here is that obviously there's a lot of ways this show has shown over the last 9 years that people can find common bonds of friendship and family and all that stuff. But simply bonding over the fact that you like each other is actually just kind of wonderfully wholesome, you know? I don't have a better word for it. And so they both kind of admit, yeah, being without your sister is even harder. I do know, because Celestia knows what it's like to be without a sister, and has for a very long time. Celestia has said many times, going all the way back to season 1, how much that she regretted and hated the summer sun solstice, excuse me, because it was just a reminder that her sister was gone. And yeah, they see a lucky star. It's just a wonderful, heartwarming, great moment. And then it ends on a joke that actually got a laugh out of me because it's perfectly presented. You just see the sun and the moon come up and they're like, haha, yep. And it cuts to them and they're just both sitting there completely normal-faced. Do you think Twilight maybe needs some help? Yeah, she needs some help. We should probably go help her. Just perfectly deadpan. And yeah, Twilight's just, oh god, why is this not working? Actually, yes, I do, Imperial Star Destroyer. More to the point, I think it also speaks to their lack of experience with mundane things, which ties into this episode's overall themes. So, we have to rate this episode. Let me just go ahead and state this right now. This is not a purple. The B plot drags it down a little bit too much for me to call this one a purple. So I'm thinking, let's see. We've got excellent animation, excellent writing for the most part. Let's see. By the way, I hear something kind of funny. Just as a side note. Someone left a comment on one of my TOS videos this morning saying, Laura, you're dumb and you're stupid, and you should use a more codified system for rating things rather than 1 off or 2 off. I found this funny because obviously I recorded that video about 1.5 years ago at this point, and we have long since codified a system of rating these without just saying Lamentation 1 off, 2 off. We have the color system now. I just thought that was kind of funny. Either way, I'm not going to hold you in suspense anymore. This is easily a red episode. Not really a surprise from someone from Simone's pedigree, but at the same time, this is a very good episode. This definitely qualifies as better than above average. It feels like, if I were to speculate, one of the things that would happen semi-periodically over on Star Trek is they would bring in a guest writer, and that guest writer would actually do their time and diligence and homework, watch previous episodes, go over previous threads, talk with the actors, and come up with a great episode. This happened in TOS, in TNG, and in Voyager, too, as well. And I feel like that's exactly what happened here, was Miss Simone looked at this and said, all right, and did her homework, and did her research, and said, okay, bam, that's what we're going to do. Unless they're there for the animated series, which is just garbage. All right, so, next episode. What do we got next here? Please load. Episode 14? Yes, episode 14, That's a Laugh, is what we're doing next. Which I know absolutely about. Or is it That's a Laugh? Hang on, let me double check my other notes, because there's different titles for things. Nope, it is The Last Laugh. God damn it. The Last Laugh. I really hate how there's multiple titles for several episodes, and keeping track of that is just a pain. This is by the Fox duo, looks like. Michael P. Fox and Will Fox. Yep, there they are. Which I believe they've done every episode together. Every episode they've written has been written as a duo. The Last Laugh. They're very yellow. They've done a lot of yellow episodes. So we will see what we think of this one in about 25 minutes. As soon as I can find the stop button.